Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. It's been a minute.
I
It's been like
know.
a month. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I talked to you, Hannah. I think outside of the Carolina Panthers wild card home game.
Mm.
But first, A, good to see you. Glad to be back. B, how have you been, dude? It's been a minute.
My gosh, I've been good. It has been such a long time. I feel like with the start of the new year, things just get really crazy and life is like really still for a second during the holidays. And then as soon as like January comes around, it's like, all right, new year, new things, sports rolling back in. Just busy, busy, busy. But overall, things have been great. Just working a ton, basketball in full swing. So yeah, life is good. What about you?
Yeah, you'll have to fill me in on some of the Charlotte basketball situation. I have not been tuned into 49ers. A lot of stuff with the Hornets. They've got me doing some NASCAR stuff this week, which is cool. I'm covering the Hall of Fame ceremony tonight. So Harry Gant, Kurt Busch, Ray Hendrick, all getting inducted into NASCAR Hall of Fame. So that'll be sick. I grew up a fan. My grandma worked at the Speedway as the VP of ticket sales there for like 38 years. So I kind of grew up around it, meeting the drivers in the ticket office and stuff. So being on the other side of it, I'll have to contain my inner fan a little bit, as you
Well,
can probably tell. But yeah, dude, been good. Watching a ton of sports. The Hornets are playing better. I feel like the fans are living and dying game by game, which is
yeah.
something that hasn't happened here in like 5 years, maybe more, since at least the last play and run with James Borrego. But it's been good, dude. Like I say, talk to us about some Charlotte hoops because I have followed their record. I'm a box score watcher right now, Hannah. I'll tell you guys, the listener, I have not been tuned in. But tell us what's going on with Charlotte hoops right now.
Yeah, Charlotte Hoops. I mean, the game tonight got moved up because of the ice, sleet, snow, winter weather we have coming our way, but it was originally set for Sunday now, 7:30 p.m. tip tonight against Tulane. Should be a pretty good game. I mean, Charlotte has kind of been up and down this season. Finally starting to find their identity, I think. There's been a few injuries on the roster, guys coming back. They got a big road win against ECU. I mean, for the Charlotte listeners, I mean, that's bragging rights right there against a in-state rivalry. So big win against ECU. Zane Mingo had a great game. I mean, 16 points, team high. So he's really coming along. I asked coach about him yesterday, actually, and he said he's doing great for the team. He's becoming the shooter that this team really needs. But yeah, he said the team's buying into that team mentality, and I'm really seeing that, and especially the past couple of games. They're kind of settling into their roles, not really playing hero basketball, kind of just playing really team-minded, which is awesome. You know, some guys doing really good things. Ben Bradford coming back after a little bit of a slump. Spencer Elliott doing some big things too. Arden Conyers had a team high of 18 points in the game against Rice. So,
I'm glad he's in the rotation now because the last time I was watching, he was not. So glad to
yeah.
know that the SEC South Carolina transfer is getting some run here.
Yeah, I think coach is just trying to figure out the best formation for this group. Just so many guys coming from different places. And I think he's finally starting to set into a consistent lineup.
Yeah.
But things are good. I think what really what really they need is they need Holton Arena to be loud and proud tonight. And for really the remainder of conference play. I mean, they sit 4-2. If they win tonight, they are second in the conference. So that's big.
Yeah.
Um, Big for Charlotte and definitely need the support of Niner Nation moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Big game, big spot, and maybe the last time you leave your house for a couple days
I
with whatever
know.
this storm is on the way. So
What
definitely
better
get
way to
out.
do it than with some Charlotte basketball?
Yeah, no doubt. So the guest we're gonna have on today, his name is Chris Lewis. If you don't know who that is, you will pretty soon. And if you want some background, just go to YouTube, pause this video, type in Charlotte Duke 2021, listen to the commentator. He's excellent at his job. I met him back then. Hannah knows him as well. So we figured we'd have him on, talk the life of a commentator, what all goes into it, the fun of it, the hard the hard side of it. I mean, live sports, this game, Hannah, it's no joke. The pressures that go along with that. So we're gonna talk to him here in a minute. But before that, I just want to give a quick update. So yeah, we haven't. I said it in the intro, like it's been a month since we've done a pod. It's just been kind of like the slow time on the football side. I've kind of branched out and started doing. I made a TikTok for this account, which is cool. So trying to put different content there. Like I have so many like sports takes and like knowledgeable on so many different things. I can't just keep like boxing myself into solely Charlotte 49ers. Like I'll continue to cover the team, continue to do what I've been doing, but just have to expand because like I say, I mean like Jeremy and I got into like an hour long debate, like a first take segment at one of the Hornets games the other night. And it just made me think about how much of the stuff that I have in my brain and the access that I have, and I'm not necessarily taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And like that side of the creation, dude, it's been a while since I've written many stories. Like I wrote one yesterday for the like Hendrick grand opening of their athletic complex, but I was talking to Jeremy and he's got Lock It or Leave It, his side of like the podcast world or the podcast shorts, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you want to call it. And he was telling me kind of how it is for him. And I started doing a little bit of it and I got that rush again, dude. And like I can't tell you how big that was for me because when you stagnate in this space, it's like kind of hard to get back from, whether it's writing, whether it's just creating content in general. But it's been lately like I've been like waking up in the middle of the night writing scripts for stuff I'm gonna make or like thinking about leads or hooks or whatever for videos. And it's like kind of refueled that fire I have for creating stuff. And so that's been massive for the program because like I say, you talked about like that holiday time when you're just at the house. Like I was just at the house chilling. So it's nice to like get back and feel like I'm making things I'm proud of again. So yeah.
That's awesome. No, you definitely have to love what you do in order for it to succeed.
Oh yeah.
So I'm so glad you are actually enjoying something that you're doing right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll get into that with Chris here. Uh, I'm interested in your kind of as or like your side of it as well. You guys have, I mean, you're in the same space but do different roles. So I can't wait to hear that. We're recording this pre the interview with Chris, but like I say, it'll start to pick up here soon. I've got some guests in mind to try and get lined up, and we'll probably get back on here and just shoot the shit just like this here pretty soon. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoy this interview with Chris. We're excited to have him on the show. Excited to have you guys back tuned in, and we'll be back soon. Good to have you on the pod, my man. Chris Lewis, CBS commentator. Got to know you a few years back. You and Hannah have known each other kind of through the broadcasting side of things, but appreciate you taking the time to join the show.
Nah, great to be on with you guys. Always great to talk some Charlotte now that I live here in Charlotte. For the last couple of years, it's been fun.
Definitely, man. I reached out to you maybe a few weeks back. I just seen you on a game, was watching Red Zone and heard your voice and knew it immediately. And then I can't recall the game, but just a couple nights ago, you worked a game with Red Panda, doing the halftime show. Man, I've always wondered this, but like your take on it. How does someone figure out that they are good at something like that?
Yeah, my question is similar to skateboarders, right? Like, how do you get to be that good at skateboarding? Like, how many falls did you have? How many
Many
times did you
bones.
fail?
Yeah,
How many times did you get a bruise on your knee or a concussion or just like all the other times to get to be as good as you are? And that's what I think when I see Red Panda. It's like the best halftime show in the world,
it's not even
and
close.
it's such a unique talent, it's such a unique act. You don't see this anywhere. But how did she master the craft to be this good? How many hours, how many falls have we not seen from her in her like a backyard, or does she have a room set up? I don't know. There's maybe a whole different another story, a feature that could be done about this. But those 10,000 hours, that's what I think
Yeah,
about to have her be as good as she is.
Yeah,
yeah, no
speaking of
doubt.
mastering your craft, kind of going off that sentiment, I know from working on the broadcasting side of things as well, just everyone has different paths. So I'm curious what yours was and how you got to where you are now, Chris.
All right, so it's a question of how much time do you have? I can give the abbreviated version there. So I'm a kid from the South Jersey area, just outside of Philly. Grew up a huge sports fan there, just like a lot of Philadelphia area kids. So I would always go to basketball camps during the summer. My sports idol growing up was Allen Iverson. I would have the cornrows, play basketball, try to wear the shooter sleeve and everything like that. So I'd go to basketball camps during the summer. And there was one week where there was no basketball camp to send me to, but both my parents, they worked during the summer, of course. So they had to send me somewhere for the day. And there was a sports broadcasting camp run by Scholastic Play-by-Play Network, Jeremy Treatman and Steve Goldstein, the duo who's in charge of that camp. And I was like, all right, sure. It's where sports fans go. All right, cool. I'll go for a week and try it out. Must have been like 12, 13 years old or whatever. And I went and thought it was fun. Thought it was a blast. Thought it was cool that, hey, these are the people you see on TV and hear on the radio. Now they're in front of me talking to me. And it was like, okay, maybe this is something I could do if I don't make the NBA. And of course, I was nowhere near good enough to make the NBA or play college basketball or high level high school basketball for that matter. So in high school, the attention started to shift towards broadcasting, just looking at the different broadcasting programs in the for college. And Syracuse stood out to me. Their alumni list was large. Didn't get into the broadcasting school there, but was a business major at Syracuse while doing a lot of the student media stuff. And then off to Idaho, I went after graduation. First job out of school was working minor league baseball for a Royals affiliate in Idaho Falls, play-by-play there. That turned into a job at Boise State eventually, doing women's basketball and their Olympic sports at Boise State. Also hosted a radio show out there. Continued to build up the reps. More national stuff started to come, CBS, NBC, and continuing to build since then.
Absolutely, man. And I saw looking into this, you started with CBS in 2021. That was around the time you and I spoke ahead of Charlotte Duke. And for any 49ers fans, when I reached out to you, Chris, I said like your call on that game is pretty iconic for the 49ers. It still is their biggest win. I guess talk about kind of what you remember from that day and that game almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it's funny. So it stands out for Charlotte fans for that reason. They beat Duke, Chris Reynolds, Will Healy,
Yeah, man.
storming the field and all that, which was cool. Afterwards, big win over Duke. That was also my first football game with CBS. So that will always be a memorable game for me as well. Working with Corey Chavis, who was amazing, great analyst. And I just remember all the feelings of, I just want to make sure I do a good job to, they have a belief in me that they've given me this game and they've given me some games for the 2021 football season. So let's do me and prepare as hard as I can and, research and work with the great crew that we had in that game and make it as fun as possible. And the game turned out to be great. A lot of exciting plays. That great story, of course, of Charlotte hosting Duke in the first place and then going to win the game.
Yeah,
So it
man.
was a blast. Will Healy, I remember he was quite a character. He was fun as a
Yeah.
coach to talk to in the meetings. Gave you some great insight and made you feel like, okay, like, this is something that I'm absolutely more than capable of doing. Calling a game on a national stage. I think it was either a Thursday or Friday night. So it was one of those windows where there wasn't many games on, and it was early in the year, the first week, so the college football fans were locked into it. So it was a great opportunity for me just to have that exclusive window stage on it, and just fortunate enough that the game turned out to be memorable.
Yeah, man. It's like I say, it's stamped for Charlotte for sure. And the call you had on it definitely resonates on that front. So that's the first game. I want to kind of go on a sidebar really fast. I think maybe your last football game, Raiders Chiefs. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was week 18 NFL. Yep.
Yeah, you got to work with Kyle Long in his first game, and A, that's a mammoth of a human being. But B, what was it like kind of working with him and like obviously we're gonna get into like the fun side, the maybe what the listener doesn't see, but I'm just curious with Kyle Long that first one.
Yeah, Kyle is tremendous. He's such a great first of all, person, just like a great guy to hang out with before the game. He does a lot of studio work, so great person to just hang around the studio with all day. Just personality wise, phenomenal. And then he has the gift of being able to bring his great personality on the air, on the desk, and in the booth, and he can be himself. A version of himself that is polished and confident, but it's also him. And so that was kind of my goal, was to make it as comfortable for him as possible, because I just know how good of an analyst he is and how entertaining he is. So if we can just give him room to be who he is, we have a fun show. It'd be a great broadcast. And for him to have his first one be a game in which, hey, it involves the team that his dad's a Hall of Famer for, and a team that he, did, play for, even though I didn't see the field that much that year, but he was a member of the Chiefs for a year. So it was a great game for him to specifically have as well. So I'm glad it worked out in that way, where that was the game that our crew had that final week. And there was a lot of storylines for just week 18, two teams that weren't going to the playoffs. Turned out to be Pete Carroll's last game as the coach of the Raiders. Who knows what the future is of Travis Kelce, but just to be able to have him in a final game of the regular season. I enjoyed it. Whenever we get to do NFL, it's a joy for me. It's a privilege. And I just want to, take advantage of those chances whenever I do get them. But just, thank CBS for putting me into that position, and, get to work with a guy who makes me look like a pipsqueak. And Kyle, like, I'm not a small guy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
At least 6'2". And I saw the opening on camera, and I'm like, yeah, I look like, I know the viral shot of Iron Eagle next to JJ Watt.
Yeah.
That was gained some traction a little bit. And this is kind of my version of it, except I'm probably, significantly taller than Iron Eagle. But you wouldn't have been able to tell, because, that was a towering human being next to me.
And I will say, man, like I said, when I reached out to you that day, I mean, you look at the score, I think it was 14-12. You think maybe a team missed an extra point and went for two, but now it was what, 6, 7 field goals and a
Yeah.
safety or something
It
like
was like
that.
the only game, whatever the specific numbers, but like the only game in NFL history with like that many field goals, a safety, and like no touchdowns.
Yeah.
So,
So that's, you
however
guys
way we get to
carried that
14
game.
to 12,
Yeah.
like, let's go for it.
Speaking of CBS, just what does a typical CBS game week actually look like behind the scenes? I know a lot of people don't really know the work that goes into it, so could you just explain that for the listeners?
Yeah. So for a football game, let's say, typical Saturday game, for me, you get back the previous week on a Sunday. I like to kind of decompress that Sunday and watch some NFL. Take some notes, whether it's mental notes or just physical notes of what I thought went well or didn't go well last week. So I have that in my mind as I prep for the next week. And then I try to finish the shell of my boards by Sunday night. So whether it's just, positions and names and numbers, just to have that in front of me. I like to handwrite the notes, but I use an Excel template for just the shells of it. So try to finish those shells by Sunday. Monday, work on one of the team's notes. Tuesday, work on another one of the team's notes. And that way I'm set for the meetings, which could be anywhere from starting on Wednesday on Zoom to in person on Friday when we get to the venue of where the game is. So if I get done most of my notes that I want to get done by Tuesday, at least to get the background of these teams, then I feel like I'm set for the week. You also have to fit in the around the house stuff, right? Like you can't ignore everything else that has to go down, to live a balanced life. But Thursday is usually the travel day when it comes to college football, so you're in that spot by Thursday night. Friday is when you will typically have at least a meeting with the home team Friday at some point, and maybe even the visiting team at the hotel that they're staying at, so you can talk to the coach. Sometimes for college, they'll let a couple players talk as well. The offensive play caller, defensive play caller, so the OC and DC. Then you have a production meeting at some point as well with the whole crew Friday, so you go over what you want to accomplish in the game, the broadcast open, some of the main storylines, graphics, videos that we have supporting the elements of the main stories. And then Saturday, game day. So for me, I like to get there, for a football 3 hours before, get familiar with the booth, know my sight lines, where's the scoreboard, my binoculars, make sure I have a good sight of everywhere on the field, and go over some of the pregame elements again with the producer and director in the truck, and then we're all set for kickoff, and hopefully it's smooth from there.
What's something that viewers would be surprised to learn about sports commentary, in your own opinion?
Just, I do think the prep work, like a lot of people don't know how much of the job is before the game. It's not one of those things where you just kind of show up and talk. What you like to have in front of you. Just everybody has their own organizational system that they use, and there's no right way to go about it. But I do find that like what strikes a lot of people who aren't in this industry when they see a broadcast chart, like see the flip card or whatever we like to use to have our names and numbers memorized and have that information at the palm of our finger when we need it, or palm of our hand at the tip of the finger when we need it. Like everybody I see feel like when they're not in the industry, they see it, they go, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
And they're surprised of like the note-taking process that goes into it. I'm sure there's other elements, but that's the one that I really do feel like makes the eyes widen, like when I talk to family and friends who aren't in it.
No doubt. Uh, Kind of funny question for you here, man. Who had the biggest influence on your broadcasting style, and why was it ESPN statistician John Tobias?
John's the man. I met him. That was the game where I met him. I had
Yeah.
that Charlotte Duke game. I didn't have a spotter or statistician for that game, so they provided the best in the business that was in the area, and that's John. And I've stayed in touch ever since. He's amazing. Um, I'm always lucky when I have him on a game. When I do NFL games, for the most part, I'm working with him, and I'm well taken care of. So yeah, he's great. Charlotte's so lucky that they have somebody like him to learn from all the different positions in the industry that he knows he can really help with. So yeah, he's been a big influence of how I like to organize, at least on game day. From the broadcasting style, I grew up Philadelphia area, as I mentioned. Mark Zumoff was the voice of the Sixers, so definitely watched a lot of games with him. Harry Callis was the voice of the Phillies. So those guys are, near the top of the list. Jim Jackson is a guy who I met at that broadcasting camp that I mentioned. He's the TV voice of the Flyers. So
Yeah.
like he's been a big reason why I wanted to go to Syracuse is because he went there, as well as a lot of alums. And the list of Syracuse guys, I almost don't like to start to list them because then I feel bad of leaving some of them out. But
Yeah.
so many of them have helped me along the way. The alumni network there is so supportive. All those wonderful Syracuse alums have influenced me in more ways that they could ever know.
Yeah, no doubt. I reached out to John and said, "What's a question to get Chris laughing?" And that was one of his responses. But
There you go.
another, I guess, going back to the game we talked about earlier, we talked earlier the Charlotte Duke game being one of those like super entertaining games, so much back and forth, and then you talk about maybe the one that's a ton of field goals and a safety. What's harder from your seat covering maybe a game that's, just a thriller, or a game that is extremely lopsided and trying to keep it entertaining and engaging for those viewers?
Yeah, they're both like using different muscles. And I feel like it's also when you're doing different sports, there's also like using different muscles of play by play, right? So a blowout, a game that's not as entertaining just from the sheer plays that are being made. Now you're having to dip into more of your storytelling bag. You're maybe having to dip into your humor bag a little bit more if that's one of your strengths, or just being able to facilitate a conversation with your analyst that has more to do big picture than it has to do with the action that's directly in front of you. So like those are different things that you can stretch. But then in a close game, now your strategy is more of a pressing concern, and being on top of the action is more of a pressing concern, and your inflection, how you're highlighting the certain things that are happening in the game. So they're both challenges. They're both different tools or golf clubs that you have that you need to use when the moment's right. And what's more difficult or more challenging, I guess always you're engaged in a close game no matter what. Just like if you're on your couch and you're seeing, okay, there's 30 seconds left and it's a 2 point game. Okay, you're leaning forward and you're watching. And I think probably as an announcer, that's where the natural energy, that adrenaline comes from. And a game that's a 30-point blowout with still 8 minutes left to go in the game, that's probably a little bit more challenging. But then you also are looking forward to the opportunities to do what I just mentioned that you might not have the opportunity to do in a close game.
We read an interview of yours where you said that landing the job was the easier portion, but being a good colleague and keeping the job was the hardest part. I resonate with that so much, but just was there a moment that you realized, okay, I belong here, I belong in this industry?
Yeah, I do feel like I think the popular term now is imposter syndrome of it. That's a real thing. Like whenever you're doing something, especially for the first time or one of your first times, you're like, wait a minute, do I belong here? The people who are making these decisions, like they're usually not wrong. Like they're not going to put you in a position that you're not ready for. So even if you're the last one to realize that you're ready for it, the people around you, the people who put you in that position, you kind of rely on them to kind of help fire you up if you need that boost. But to your point of the what you said at the beginning there, I really do feel like in my heart of hearts, there are so many people who are capable of doing the job of play-by-play announcer or sideline reporter or anything really within this industry. It's being the type of person that people want to work with is the thing that I feel like is the biggest weapon that you can have. So treating people kindly, knowing people's names, sending thank you texts, thank you notes, just being the type of guy that you want or woman that people want to believe in. And I think that's the key to maximizing how far that you can get in this industry, or keeping a job or getting the next one. This is not a large industry. People talk, and if you're somebody that is annoying, short temper, just a pain in the butt, I think that people will find out very quickly, and you probably won't get as many chances at it.
I completely agree. I think being kind goes such a long way, especially in this industry, because you honestly never know who you're going to meet. And at the same time, if you're not, getting the roles that you want, you can still at least do your best. And, you know, that in itself, treating others and being, courteous to others, and especially those not in front of the camera, learning people's names, that just goes such a long way. So I agree with you there. I want to shift things a little bit to you've had a lot of opportunities, right? A lot of big moments, called a lot of big games. Just of the stadiums and arenas you traveled to, what are a couple that stand out to you as your favorites?
One of the most fun parts about the job is the travel. I like going to different cities. I like trying different foods in different places. Um, I do have a couple of allergies, so I always have to be careful. Tree nut and shellfish are my
Oh
allergies,
no.
so it's like I want to always try something and be aggressive, but it's like on game day I probably can't. Game day it's like the typical I got to order Jimmy John's for lunch, Starbucks for breakfast, just so I know what's in these ingredients, so I don't know, have an allergic reaction before a game. But to that point, New Orleans is one of my favorite food locations every year for the last five. I've gotten a chance to call the Bayou Classic for NBC, Southern versus Grambling. That was like the HBCU Super Bowl
Yeah, man.
for a long time there. It was just like one of the most noteworthy HBCU football games. Still is. It's a great event. But my family grew up watching that game. We would have a party for it every year. So like that always stands out to me as just like a great venue, Superdome. It feels big time. Got a lot of great food after the game. You can go stuff your face with. So I enjoy that one. Cincinnati for the opener this year with the Bengals and the Jaguars, their home opener. I thought crowd wise, the Bengals fans were just absolutely
They're
ready to
nuts.
go.
Yeah.
Orange out. They were having a great time until Joe Burrow got hurt. So that was sad that
Yeah.
Joe Burrow got hurt in that game. They did win. Jake Browning got the game-winning touchdown with I think less than 30 seconds left in that game. But that crowd, I'll always remember. And to the Superdome point as well, my first NFL game was there too. Titans Saints, week one. that year. I think 2023, if I'm doing the math right. No, 2024. Um, no, 2023. I was right the first time. And just the sheer noise in
Yeah.
my headset as we're doing the open, the earpiece, I can't even hear myself talk. I wasn't necessarily prepared for the volume of the crowd
Awesome.
for my first NFL game at the Dome. So I think just for those personal reasons, the Superdome might be number one on my list for favorite venues because of the Bayou Classic, and it was my first NFL game.
What do you think of the lighting in there, man? Because I always hear different people's takes on what it looks like, I guess, just overall in the
That's funny. I
Superdome.
haven't really noticed it being better or worse
Yeah,
for whatever reason. Uh, I like the sight lines. I like where we are. I like the booth. We have a good view, so I'll take my vantage point from it as a positive.
definitely, man. So this just popped into my head. So I was curious, what do you do with your credentials? I know I've seen people make like glass tables with them on there. I've seen them decorate their Christmas tree. Mine are just like all in an envelope. But what do you do with yours? And Hannah, you as well.
I have a box that I
Yeah,
have a bunch of them in right now. I probably should find a better way to store them or at least display them.
that's how it
But
is with me.
at this point, like I also save every one of my boards too.
Yeah.
So I don't throw those away. So I have in my closet years and years of broadcast charts and credentials that I'm sure, at first it was my, mom and dad were like, why in the world are you saving this? We want to throw this away. And now, my wife understands that I like to keep them, but I'm sure at some point it's like, why are we saving all these charts? And why are we, but when we have to move, we're carrying boxes and boxes of manila folders and credentials that you'll never really go back and look at. But I don't like throwing them away.
Yeah,
Same
that's
here.
so real. I have like a box of game notes from like when I my very first game that I had the chance to be on the sidelines. And I was like, I don't want to throw this away. This is, I don't know, it was
Yeah.
really cool for me. And I have all my credentials the same as you guys, like just in a drawer. And I'm like, I need to do something cooler with it.
Yeah, the coolest thing I've seen was like that glass like coffee table where they're just all laid down. Maybe one day that's like a man cave edition or
Yeah, that's a
something.
good idea. I need to, if somebody wants to reach out with their best ideas of how they have
Yeah.
displayed their credentials, I'm all ears.
Yeah, the Christmas tree one is pretty cool. I've seen that a lot. But curious for you, man, like looking forward, we've done a lot of kind of reflecting, but for you, what does kind of like success in the future for you look like?
Yeah, it's always hard to, you know, plan out exactly what you want and when you want it. Like you always just want to do the best job for the next broadcast and hope that it takes care of itself. Like a lot of the stuff is out of your control, and all you can control is again your approach for the next game and making sure you do the best job with it. I would like to continue to call games at the highest level possible and maximize whatever ceiling I may or may not have as an announcer. I think people are like that, but just in general, just having a positive attitude and being proud of the job that I'm doing is probably it's a struggle too because everybody wants to compare themselves to other people. I'm sure you guys are like that. You guys are career focused, I know, and are looking at your peers and saying like, okay, like this is what they're doing, this is what I want to do because I want to whatever keep up with what's going on in the industry, but that's really not the healthy way to
Yeah.
go about it. Like that's not going to lead to happiness in the long run is comparing yourself to others and like you want to set goals and you want to have standards for yourself, but in the end, it's just about how you can deal with you. And I'm working on that balance. I'm not perfect at it. I'm sure everybody in their own way is having their struggle with it. Even if you're at the very top of the industry, I'm sure people who are calling games on the number one package, they're looking at themselves and looking at others and figuring out what they can do better to reach whatever next step that they have in their mind. But you know, can I describe the action and
Yeah.
be entertaining for my next broadcast that I have coming up on January 31st, right? Like that to me is probably the most pressing goal that I have right now. And, um, you know, Do
Yeah.
would I turn down the opportunity to call a Super Bowl one day? No, absolutely not. I would love it. Like everybody strives for that, but you can't look at yourself as an underachiever if that doesn't happen to be within your future. I would have never thought 5 years ago when I was a teacher at a high school in Boise, Idaho, and a junior high in Boise, Idaho during COVID, that 5 years from there, and I'd be finishing up my third year of being on the NFL roster at CBS and
Yeah,
calling
man.
college football nationally for CBS Sports Network and working a couple of summer Olympic games for NBC. Like I didn't know that that was going to be in my immediate future back then. So what's the expression? Like God laughs at everybody's plans. I'm pretty much an example of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just
No
a fun
doubt,
one.
man.
If it wasn't broadcasting, what would you be doing instead? I know broadcasting's the goal, but just, if that wasn't an option, what would be something you want?
Sounds like step back jumpers is what
I
I heard.
know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it would be nice to be 6'5" and
I mean, you
fast and
were.
have handles and a good shot. Like that'd be nice. Or be a great golfer. I feel like that life would be pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
But maybe the answer to that is being a teacher because literally that's what I was for a year when broadcasting was taken away. I was a video broadcast teacher at a junior high and high school. So maybe that would be the answer. I thought it was cool that year I was a teacher. It wasn't something that I saw myself doing long term, but maybe that's the answer because it happened. I like to cook, so maybe something in the food industry,
A chef.
perhaps. I have a business degree, so I was a business major at Syracuse, so something in the business world too. And I'm certainly not closing the door on business opportunities in the future, so that's certainly on the table. So, while I'm a broadcaster now and doing the best job I can with it, you always want to widen your plate as much as possible too. So don't close the door on those opportunities.
Definitely, man. And we'll probably wrap with this. You mentioned the Olympic experience. We're going to ask about that. Just talk about how, I guess, exciting that was to figure out that's what you're getting to do, and then the experience itself.
Yeah, first of all, just wonderful to get the note that hey, we're tabbing you for table tennis for the Olympics. Are you interested?
Marty
Yeah,
Supreme, man.
absolutely. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't take long to think. Yeah. Did I have any experience with table tennis? No. So that was the next step of all right, how do I call this? So the process of all right, watching broadcasts from the previous Olympics on table tennis, being in touch with my color analyst to know, okay, what do I need to know? What are some of the main headlines here? They do such a great job, NBC, of providing the information, the storylines, the rules. Their research team is tremendous. Like, the on air people, but their staff of people behind the scenes is just immaculate. So they deserve all the love. I know they're about to, get going with their Winter Olympic Games and the big project that is. It just takes so many people to deliver the quality of broadcast for the number of different sports for an Olympic Games. So they deserve huge credit. And I'm just a very, very, very small piece when the table tennis play-by-play for the Summer Olympics. But my color analyst, Sean O'Neill, is wonderful. The producer of the last couple Olympic Games that I've had is Sean O'Gara. He's also tremendous, and we have a good time. It's just a lot of hours. A
Yeah.
lot of table tennis, a lot of, you're in a studio in Stamford, Connecticut. I did not travel to, the Tokyo and Paris where the Olympics were, those two Summer Olympic Games. But being in that studio in Stamford, Connecticut, they treat us well. And it's just learning a whole new sport
Yeah.
is a challenge and a
That's no
project.
joke.
And
Yeah.
that's another, again, we talked about tools that you need to know and like being able to, dive into a new project like that and master, if you will, the art of something new is a fun tool that I like to use.
Yeah. No doubt, man. That's the learning curve is something you got to pick up immediately. So no doubt.
Absolutely.
And last question, man. Just curious your maybe favorite names across the sports. Like what comes to mind with like all names teams. You guys are doing it on air. You've got the pronunciation has to be correct on point every time. The one that comes to mind for me is like mobility or Panda Ask You. But you,
Yeah.
give me your all names team, man.
Mobility was great.
Great
Mobility.
name. I mean, elite.
That was phenomenal. I remember mobility. That's quality. I remember in college, probably 2012, 2013 season. It was Syracuse basketball. They faced St. John's, and that St. John's team had a player named God's Gift Achua, which was a wonderful name to be able to have. Which is, I think, Precious Achua. You know him now
Yeah.
in the NBA. God's Gift Achua was on that St. John's team, and Michael Carter Williams had a big dunk on him, and it was cool to dunk on somebody named God's
Patrick.
Gift Achua that I had a call on. That stands out. The Olympics, you're having to deal with a lot of names that fit phonetical patterns that you're not familiar with. So that's a challenge in its own right. And you've had some fun ones there. I think for that, the French table tennis star, his name was Felix Lebrun. So not LeBron, but it was close to LeBron, and it was LeBron, and he had a brother named Alexi, and those two were like the hometown the duo that everybody loved that drew the huge crowd. So when you're able to say LeBron gets the win, that was a good one because it was close. LeBron and LeBron were dominating the Olympics in different
Yeah, man.
sports with different audiences.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah, man. Well, Chris, like we say, dude, we appreciate your time. It's awesome to kind of get more on your story and hear kind of behind the scenes of all the work you put in. So keep doing your thing, man. We'll keep tuning in. And like we say, appreciate you joining the pod.
No, thanks for having me. Had a great time.